Chioma, you are married to the best man on earth. I wish I had your life.
Gift stole her best friend's husband, but weeks later, she was begging to escape him. Because behind the mansion, behind the wealth, was a secret that would destroy her life forever. This is the story of Chioma and Gift. Gift used to stand outside the tall black gates of Chioma's mansion and whisper the same words every single time. Chioma, you're so lucky. Lucky. That was what everyone believed. They saw the luxury cars lined neatly in the compound. They saw the glittering chandeliers glowing through the tall windows at night. They saw the designer handbags, the expensive shoes, the vacation pictures posted with perfect captions. They saw the handsome husband who stepped out in tailored suits and dark sunglasses, always smiling for the world to admire. They saw the smiles. But they did not see the bruises hidden beneath long sleeves. They did not hear the quiet sobs that echoed against cold marble walls after midnight. They did not feel the fear that lived behind those golden doors. And Gift did not see the truth. She only saw the life she wanted. So she made a decision. A decision that would destroy her friendship, her freedom, her peace. Because the day Gift stole Chioma's husband was the day she stole Chioma's pain. You are watching Promiscuous Stories, the home of authentic African narratives that touch the soul and teach the heart. Today, we dive into a tale of two friends and a decision that changed their lives forever. Before we begin, hit that subscribe button. Your next life lesson is just a story away. Long before the mansion, before the betrayal and the silence that would one day grow between them, there were just two girls trying to survive in Suralea. Chioma and Gift grew up in a crowded compound where privacy did not exist. Everyone knew your name, your parents, and your business. If you quarreled in the morning, the entire compound discussed it before noon. Their mothers sold food in the same market. They stood side by side over steaming pots of rice and soup, calling out to customers. Their fathers argued about football every weekend, shouting at a small television balanced on a wooden stool. Chioma was quiet even as a child. She listened more than she spoke. When other children fought over toys, she stepped back. When teachers asked questions, she answered softly but correctly. Gift was different from the beginning. She was loud, bold, restless. She hated losing. She hated being overlooked. And more than anything, she hated poverty. She hated the way rainwater leaked through the zinc roof and forced them to place buckets around the room. She hated wearing second-hand clothes during festive seasons while other children wore new outfits. She hated the embarrassment of borrowing textbooks. While Chioma dreamed of peace, Gift dreamed of escape. But despite their differences, they loved each other fiercely. When other girls tried to bully Chioma, Gift fought them. When Gift got into trouble for talking too much in class, Chioma helped her finish assignments. They studied together under dim lantern light during power outages. They shared secrets while lying side by side on thin mattresses. They promised each other something when they were 16. No matter what happens, Gift had said, stretching out her pinky finger, we will make it together. Chioma hooked her finger around Gift and smiled. Together. Life, however, does not always honor childhood promises. University came, and with it, bigger dreams. They shared a small hostel room with cracked paint and a stubborn ceiling fan that squeaked loudly every time it turned. At night, when the campus generator went off and the room became hot and dark, they would talk about their futures. Chioma would sigh contentedly. I just want a small business. Maybe catering. And a husband who loves me. That is enough. Gift would laugh from her bed. You and your small dreams. I want a big house. A powerful husband. I don't want to struggle like our parents. Chioma would smile. Money is good. But peace is better. Gift would shake her head. I want both. They did not know that one day, those words would stand between them like a wall. After graduation, reality arrived quickly. Jobs were scarce. Bills were real. Chioma did not wait for employment letters. She started small. She borrowed money, bought cooking equipment, and began a catering business. She cooked for birthdays, church events, small office parties. She woke before dawn to prepare meals and returned home exhausted. Gift searched for corporate jobs. She attended interviews in borrowed blazers and high heels that hurt her feet. She smiled politely at receptionists who never called her back. Months passed, and frustration grew inside her. One afternoon, Chioma catered an event at a luxury hotel. That was where she met Ryan. He noticed her immediately, not because she was dressed extravagantly, but because she carried herself with quiet confidence. When she laughed with a client, it was genuine. When she directed her assistants, she was calm. Ryan approached her after the event. Your food was excellent, he said smoothly. Thank you, she replied, surprised but polite. He asked for her number under the excuse of future bookings. She hesitated but eventually agreed. He called the next day. Then the next week. Soon, he was sending flowers. Offering to invest in her business. Picking her up in cars she had only seen in magazines. Gift was the first person Chioma told. His name is Ryan, she said shyly one evening. Gift's eyes widened when she saw his picture. Chioma, this man is rich. Chioma laughed nervously. He says he loves my simplicity. Within a year, Ryan proposed. The wedding was grand, far beyond anything they had imagined as children in Soralia. Guests arrived in glittering outfits. Cameras flashed. Money flowed. And just like that, Chioma moved into a mansion in Lekki. The first time Gift visited, her heart beat loudly in her chest as the gate opened. The compound alone was bigger than their entire childhood building. She stepped out of the car slowly, staring at the polished floors, the wide staircase, the massive living room decorated in gold and cream. This is your house, she whispered. Chioma laughed lightly. Our house. Gift smiled. She hugged her friend tightly. But something shifted inside her that day. That night, back in her small apartment with peeling paint and unreliable electricity, Gift lay awake staring at the ceiling. Why her? Why did Chioma, with her small dreams, get everything? Why did she, the ambitious one, still struggle? Jealousy is rarely loud at first. It starts as a whisper. Gift began visiting more often. She admired Chioma's wardrobe. Touched the soft curtains. Sat in the expensive cars. She watched Ryan carefully. He was charming with her. Respectful. Generous. But what she did not see were the cracks forming behind closed doors. The first slap came unexpectedly. Chioma had asked why he returned home so late. The sound shocked her more than the pain. Ryan stared at her, breathing heavily, then immediately apologized. I'm stressed, he said. You know I love you. The next day, he bought her a diamond bracelet. She convinced herself it was a mistake. But mistakes that happen once can happen again. The insults began quietly. You're too naive. You wouldn't survive without me. Everything you have is because of me. He monitored her calls. Questioned her outings. Slowly isolated her from friends. When he hit her again, he did not apologize as quickly. Chioma started wearing long sleeves more often. She applied makeup carefully. She smiled brightly when visitors came. Gift never suspected. Instead, she admired. One evening, as they sat in the living room, Gift looked around and said softly, "You are blessed." Chioma forced a smile. If only blessings did not hurt this much, she thought. As months passed, jealousy consumed Gift. It was no longer a whisper. It was a voice that would not sleep. She began imagining herself as the woman of the house. Hosting parties. Giving instructions to staff. Living the life she believed she deserved. The thought became an obsession. One desperate evening, after receiving yet another job rejection email, Gift made a reckless choice. She visited a spiritualist recommended by a colleague. The room was dim and heavy with incense. The man looked at her for a long time before speaking. "The man you desire is tied to your destiny," he said slowly. "But if you bind him to yourself, you will also bind yourself to him." "I don't care," she replied. "There will be no escape. I accept." Some warnings sound distant when your heart is clouded. 2 weeks later, Ryan began acting differently. He grew irritated with Chioma over small things. Accused her of disrespect. Started staying out longer. The arguments intensified. Then one night, after a violent confrontation, he threw her out. "No more," he said coldly. "Leave." She packed a suitcase with trembling hands. As she stepped out of the mansion, she felt both devastation and strange relief. She had lost everything material. But she could breathe. Ryan called Gift days later. "I need someone who understands me," he said. Gift moved in quietly, telling herself it was destiny. She stood in the same living room she once admired, now as its mistress. She had won. Or so she believed. 3 days later, she asked him why he ignored her call earlier. The slap came without warning. Her ears rang. She stared at him, confused. "You don't question me," he said calmly. Fear crawled up her spine. It happened again the following week. Then again. The charming man disappeared completely. In his place stood control. Anger. Cruelty. Gift tried to leave once. She packed her bags and walked toward the gate. But halfway there, dizziness overwhelmed her. Her body felt weak, almost paralyzed. The spiritualist's words echoed in her mind. There will be no escape. Days turned into months. The mansion no longer felt luxurious. It felt like a cage. One afternoon, bruised and exhausted, Gift gathered the courage to find Chioma. She located her in a modest apartment where the smell of fresh cooking filled the air. Chioma looked thinner but peaceful. When their eyes met, silence filled the room. Gift fell to her knees. "I'm sorry," she sobbed. "I didn't know. I thought you were lucky. I was jealous. I was wrong." Chioma washed her quietly. "I am suffering," Gift whispered. "Please help me." Chioma's voice, when she spoke, was calm. "I prayed for freedom every night in that house," she said. "The day he sent me away was the day my prayers were answered." Tears rolled down Gift's face. "I forgive you," Chioma continued softly. Relief flickered across Gift's expression. "But we can never be what we were." Those words cut deeper than any physical wound. Gift left knowing she had lost the most precious thing in her life, her best friend. Chioma rebuilt her catering business slowly. She worked hard again, but this time with peace in her heart. She smiled genuinely. She reconnected with herself. Gift returned to the mansion. The cars were still there. The chandeliers still sparkled. But the walls felt colder. Because not every beautiful life is a blessing. Not every rich home holds peace. Sometimes the life you envy is the life someone else is desperately praying to escape. And sometimes, when jealousy blinds you, you don't just steal someone's husband. You steal their pain. And make it your own.